Hello, and welcome back to All or None According to Jack with your host, Jack Toledano, and my very special guest today, Mr. Chris Alo. How you doing, Chris?
What's going on, Jack? What's going on, everybody? Thanks for having me on today, Jack.
Oh, yes, it's always a pleasure. I know I have to apologize to my audience. I haven't been on in a couple weeks, so it's been a crazy couple weeks. Uh, Chris and I met, and Kyle Hummel and Chris's friend was Rich's.
Rich, yep.
Yep. So we met up at the Priest concert on Saturday night, October 15th at MVP Arena in Albany, and it was a great show. And since then, so after that show, I've been basically incognito for a couple weeks. I've been at my home upstate, uh, getting a kitchen built and some measurements taken, and I ended up staying a couple days extra that away from my home studio, and then I got sick. So, so it never ends. So I've been sick for like 4 or 5 days, and I'm finally feeling better. So, knock on wood. So
Absolutely.
how was your week since the Priest concert?
Yeah, I had a crazy week, Jack. As I mentioned previously, my week started with Judas Priest up in Albany on October 15th. Then Tuesday, October 18th, I drove down to Philadelphia to see the band Epica at the Fillmore in Philadelphia. They were opening for Sabaton, but I did not stay for Sabaton. I drove the 3 hours, had a cheesesteak, had a beer with Steve Keeler from Rock Fantasy, watched Epica, and 3 hours back home.
Any reason you didn't stay for Sabaton, or was it just a 3 hour drive?
The 3 hour drive, and the fact that it was such a crazy week. That extra 2 hours to see
Right.
Sabaton would have pushed me way back,
Yeah.
because the next day I had to be up, because on Wednesday, October 19th, I drove out to Long Island with my buddy Sean to see Iron Maiden. So I
Okay.
saw Iron Maiden and Within Temptation on October 19th. I was off on the Thursday, but I had to do a video for Pete Pardo. Friday, October 21st, I drove out to the Prudential Center in Newark, saw Iron Maiden a second time. I met my buddy Craig Kaminsky, who also guests hosts on the Sea of Tranquility shows sometimes. We watched Iron Maiden. Then from there, we drove 2 hours to Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. I got about maybe 3 hours sleep, and I was up because Pete, Craig, and myself attended the 24-hour horror movie marathon in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. That's put on by Exhumed Films. We watched 15 horror movies in a row. I think in total I missed 2.5 movies because I got lunch, and also I did nap for about 2 hours in my hotel room.
Right.
Um, Left Phoenixville, Pennsylvania, had lunch with Craig, and drove straight to Newton, New Jersey to watch the Michael Schenker Group in concert. So I had one, two, three, wait, one, two, three, four, 5 concerts and a 26 concerts and a 24-hour show in 7 days. So
God.
yeah, it was a busy
How
week.
do you do it?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I do it because I love it. So I got
Yeah.
home yesterday and I was pretty pooped.
Okay.
I'm still a little tired today, to be honest.
Okay.
So yeah, so it was all good stuff, but definitely a tiring week.
So really quick, uh, and this is just a question off the cuff. Of those concerts that you saw, which would you say was your best?
Oof. It's a tough one. I mean, they were all really enjoyable. I might go with Priest.
Nice.
I mean, Maiden was great. They had a fantastic stage show. They were full of high energy. The crowd was into them. But, and I know we're going to talk about that with Priest, the Iron Maiden set list. I know I've talked about this ad nauseum on some of Pete's shows, but the Iron Maiden set list leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah.
And I've seen both Iron Maiden and Judas Priest about 50 times each. So when
Wow.
you see these bands that many times, every time I go, I want something that I haven't heard before.
Right.
And Judas Priest absolutely gives that to me, and Iron Maiden does not. For
Right.
whatever reason, Judas Priest feels, and Glenn Tipton told me this, because I've done more rock interviews with Judas Priest than any other band.
Oh,
Glenn
okay.
Tipton himself told me probably about 10, 12 years ago. He's like, Chris, every time we go out, we're going to try and do a song or two for the hardcore fans that we haven't done before.
That's awesome.
And he has Priest as a band has absolutely stuck to their word. Whereas Iron Maiden, great stage show, great performance, high energy, but they're playing a lot of the same old songs. I mentioned this the other day, and somebody was like, "Oh, they did Flight of Icarus." Yeah, oh, great. It is true they brought back Flight of Icarus, but they brought it back in 2018. This is 2022, and it's great. They're still playing it, but
Right.
they have not added any other gems from the old era.
I did notice that they only played the first 3 songs of Senjutsu.
Yes.
And then they just the rest of the show was they're from their
back catalog. Yeah. This is in 2018 and 2019 they did the Legacy of the Beast tour, which was based on a video game. And so for this, so in 2021, 2022, it's now the Legacy of the Beast tour combined with some of Senjutsu. So yeah, they're doing 3 tracks from Senjutsu, and then supposedly the next tour in 2023 will be the Senjutsu tour, but now they're also going to revisit somewhere in Time record.
Right.
So
right. that hits an anniversary.
Yeah. So yeah. But yeah, I mean, of all the concerts, yeah, I think Judas Priest was the one I enjoyed the most. I mean, Epica was great, but it was only an hour. Michael Schenker was great, but Jesus, I was so tired. I was so tired that during the opening bands, there was 2 openers, Jack. I would say I fell asleep 2 to 3 times on each song by the openers. And I mean, when I fall asleep, I would fall asleep and be dreaming. That's how, because I was just so exhausted. Thankfully, my hotel room was only 2.5 miles away. So I knew once Schenker was over, I'm finally going to be able to sleep.
Yeah.
So that's why overall, I think I enjoyed Priest the most.
Right.
And Priest too, as you know, I mean, they are, they can pull stuff out of their hat, which is always nice to, like the show we saw. Right. They did the same set they did the night before, but they rearranged the order.
Yes. Yeah. I actually, I don't know if anybody can see this.
I can't see it.
You can't. But in any event, basically what it is, it's somebody had taken somebody from the soundboard gave somebody the set list, and he posted it to one of the Judas Priest sites. So I'm actually going to read off of it. So just to let people know, this is a spoiler alert. We're going to talk about the set that they played that night. So of course they opened with Hellion and Electric Eye. We kind of expected that because of the fact that it's it was partially an anniversary for Screaming for Vengeance. So then they played Riding on the Wind.
Which they don't always do.
Right. I've seen them play it a couple times, but they don't always play it. I was pleasantly surprised that they got, I know I like to see shows where they don't play You've Got Another Thing Coming.
Yes.
But if you have to play it early and get it over with, which they did. Song number 4 is a song that I absolutely love that they don't always play, Jawbreaker.
Yeah.
You agreed? Never the Heroes, that's a new one off of Firepower that they hadn't played before.
Yeah, I was going to say, I believe that was the one that was brand new for this run that was never played before. And I think that could be my favorite track off of Firepower.
So, oh, really?
Yeah, I was really glad to hear that.
Okay. Well, it's got something of a patriotic touch to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's catchy.
Yeah.
It's short and catchy and to the point. Right. Bit of an anthem.
It was nice, with and they played a lot of very heavy numbers in this concert.
Yeah.
So then they played Beyond the Realms. That's a song that never gets old for me.
Nope.
Love that one. Judas Rising. Last time I heard that was back in 2005.
Yeah. So it's been a while.
Yeah, great song. Another great song. Heading Out to the Highway. It's okay. I mean,
Right.
as long as they don't keep playing it every tour, which they don't.
Which they don't. Yeah. Which they
Yeah.
really.
The next two, I mean,
Yeah.
were awesome. Genocide.
Been 40 years since they played
Yeah,
live, which is amazing.
right. It was as heavy, balls to the wall, as heavy as can be.
Yeah.
It was awesome. You agree?
100%. I mean, Pete and I did a video not that long ago where it was songs we always wanted to hear from our favorite bands.
Mm.
And both Pete and I picked Genocide.
Right.
Because I was like, well, I've heard Priest play everything off of Unleashed in the East except for Genocide.
All right. Well, they gave it to you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I just love the way Halford was like sitting down, admiring Richie's playing at the beginning of that song. It was pretty cool.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So where did you sit?
I was fifth row on Richie's side, so fifth row on the left.
Okay.
And I had Butch Jones. I don't know if I'm sure you know Bill Galucci. He sat to my left. Butch Jones was a row back from me in the center. And Lynn Versace, who does all the Hudson Valley Squares, she was the security guard in front of the stage. So she was 5 rows ahead of me. So it was definitely a lot of Hudson Valley people right around me.
Oh yeah. Whereas, you know what? I have a lot of expenses with this other undertaking, so I just went for cheap seats.
Gotcha.
For me, I mean, I would have liked to sit where you sat, but was it worth it to pay double what I paid just to try and get a few picks, which I would have liked, but
Right.
I didn't. But
Yeah,
so
no,
I ended up sitting in the back, but I still had a great view.
Yeah,
There
it
wasn't
was
a
a great
bad
show.
seat in the house, and you know, great sound. I mean, it was second to none. I actually did have some function of my ears the next day, so
Oh, that's good. I always wear earplugs, always.
no, I don't. I never have.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Well, it's definitely something to think about.
Yeah, no, I quite agree. So next song, a song that I never saw. I don't know if I ever saw them play this, but they played Steeler, another song that I absolutely love.
Yeah, they did. They did a tour, which was the anniversary of British Steel.
Right.
That was the last time that I saw them play Steeler.
That was like 2009, I believe.
Yes, I believe
Yeah,
so,
something like
if
that.
I remember right.
What else? Then they played Hammer and Between the Hammer and the Anvil.
Yes,
Another
my
great song.
personal favorite song from Painkiller.
Yeah, it's one of mine as well. Now this is one of my favorites from what the hell's that album? Redeemer of Souls.
Yep,
Souls of Valhalla.
great song.
Absolutely love it.
Which
So,
again they haven't done in a couple of years.
right. But yeah, and I don't believe I saw them on that tour. So
Okay.
right. Okay, so then Firepower. Saw them do that on that I saw them in March of 2018. So it was in their set at that time.
Right.
So it was their opening number. And then they closed with Screaming for Vengeance. The only difference between this show and the Nassau Coliseum show, which I didn't see, from what I understand, they added in Green Manalishi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But then the encore was the same. Hellbent for Leather, Breaking the Law, Living After Midnight.
Right, which is great. I personally love that Breaking the Law and Living After Midnight are always the last two because I can,
Right.
having seen them so many times, I can skip them and get to my
Yeah.
car.
I actually,
Screaming for Vengeance, they only played on the Screaming for Vengeance tour in 1982,
right.
and it only made a handful of appearances. And 2015 was the year they brought it back
Right.
for a bunch of shows. But
Supposedly KK said it was a hard song to play on stage, but
yeah,
Richie Faulkner didn't seem to have a problem.
no, no, not
Like,
at all.
he's
So
the man.
great track. Again, another track that I never thought I'd see them do. So now that
Right,
I've seen them do it on two different tours is awesome.
right. I actually left during the middle of Living After Midnight as well because I just
Yeah,
wanted to beat the Albany
beat
traffic out of there.
100%. Yeah.
Of course, of course, my ways got screwed up, and I took the wrong route home, and I
Uh,
ended up an extra half an hour, 45 minutes, but whatever. I made it.
well, at least it was a Saturday night.
Yes. Yep.
That was a play. Because of course, as you know, Jack, it's pretty rare when there's a concert that you want to go to that when it falls on Saturday.
Yeah. Quite agreed. Yep. But this worked out
Yeah,
excellent.
worked out great. They had a
So
decent turnout. I think maybe I would guess maybe like 4,000 people ish,
yeah, I mean,
3 4.
so well, yeah. The upper tier was closed, which was
Yeah,
a shame. Uh, I mean, the tier that I was in, I'd say it looked like it was about maybe 50 to 75% full.
right.
And then the floor was full, but then there was a section that was blocked off and empty.
Yes. Yeah.
So you're right,
So,
probably 5 to 7,000 tops.
yeah,
Yeah,
which is not bad. It's very respectable for a band that's been around, 50 years.
right.
Name me another rock band that's been around that long that, I mean,
Well,
other
so
than
how
the
did
Rolling Stones and the Who,
how
there's
did
not a
Iron
lot.
Maiden do it at UBS? If I'm curious.
Iron Maiden definitely did better than Priest, and traditionally, at least in recent years, they have done much better than Priest.
Hmm.
I think at UBS Arena, I think they had 12,500, and I believe in Newark it was 14,
Yeah.
15,000.
Of course, I can tell you that, and living on Long Island as I do, and having been to the UBS Arena a few times, parking really fucking sucks
Oh
there.
yeah, no, parking
It's
is
awful.
awful there.
I
You
mean,
have to either either you need to get dropped off or Uber it,
yeah,
or what I do is I prepay the parking, the
yeah,
overpriced parking. That way you
yeah.
can park somewhat close
Mhm.
and walk to the venue. But even that, I
Right.
had silver parking. I paid $50, and when I talked to one of the security guards, she was like, "Well, how much did you pay for parking?" I was like, $50. She goes, "Oh, you must have bought that a while ago." I go, "Yeah, I did." She goes, "Yeah, because if you did it today, it's at least $75."
What?
Yeah. Jack, I bought a bottle of water at UBS Arena was $8.98.
They've got a real racket going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they really do.
And
So
and that's part and parcel why I didn't bother to try and see Priest at the Coliseum,
yeah.
because they have the same racket going.
Oh yeah. I mean it's
Fortunately, I live close and I know where to park that I can walk there.
yeah.
And uh I kind of know at UBS also, but I also have a friend who lives right near there. So, but hey, next time we're ever going to the same event, we got to hook up, and so
Oh
I can
sure.
save you a
Yeah.
few dollars. That's
That would
just
be great because yeah,
ludicrous. Yeah,
it is, everything is just ridiculously expensive between
yeah.
the tickets and parking and like I
They
said,
should be ashamed.
$9 for a bottle of water to me
Yeah.
seems excessive.
But I got to tell you, I think I will be going to Albany for more shows, because
Oh, I loved it.
20 bucks to park.
Yes,
That wasn't bad.
very
And
reasonable. I went to MVP Arena in September for AEW wrestling. I had a
right,
blast. Same thing, $20 to park.
uh-huh,
Cheap food across the street.
right.
So it's definitely no traffic there or back.
Yeah, it was
Because
great.
again, I had UBS actually wasn't bad, but the traffic going to Newark was outrageous.
Oh my, yeah.
So
Well, that's what prevents me from going to more football giant games, is
yeah,
that traffic. It's horrendous.
horrendous. Yeah.
I like to try to take my son to at least one game a year, but that traffic prevents it.
Yeah, no, it's tough. It doesn't. They don't make things easy.
So, in any event, so the picture that's right behind you, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. I had really good seats. I always get lucky with Judas Priest tickets, and I always wind up getting fairly close. So yeah, I mean, it didn't transfer too well to Zoom with the top of Rob Halford's head getting cut off, but I must have shot about 1,000 pictures. And
Right.
yeah, this is one of my favorites that I took
Oh
that
yeah,
night.
definitely. I still can't get used to the Santa Claus beard, but other than that,
No, to
yeah.
me, he looks with the bald head and the Santa Claus beard. He looks more and more like David Letterman, like modern day David Letterman all the time.
Oh, that's so funny.
But yeah, I really enjoyed the show. I thought it was great. Sure, you could say that Iron Maiden was more energetic and had a better stage show, but for me, it really is all about the music. And
Right.
for me, Judas Priest puts in the extra effort and
Yeah.
digs up more songs that I want to hear than Iron Maiden is doing.
I'm very happy to hear you say that because they
Yeah,
are my favorite metal band. So,
yeah, for
uh,
sure. I mean,
so
for whatever reason, they have no problem with digging deep. I mean, I know it was in 2019. They did 2 nights in Albany at the Palace Theater, a smaller
mhm,
venue. I
right,
went both nights, and for some reason, the second night they pulled out Hot Rockin', which they
right,
hadn't played in like 10, 15 years, and I
right,
had never seen Priest do before, and I was like, Jesus, this is what all of these bands should be doing, but
right.
Priest is the only one that seems to want to do it.
I know they played it on the tour in 2005. I don't know if they played it for my show, but it's on that Budokan concert
Right.
in 2005. So, but
Yeah.
last exercise is I just
Sure.
wanted to talk about a couple of comparing this to a couple of other times I've seen Priest. So I would rate this as one of my top shows just based on the set list. So
Yeah.
other great shows that I've seen, there was 80 Screaming for Vengeance of October of 82 was one of my tops. And then the Redeemer, is it not Redeemer of Souls, the 2005 show, Angel of Retribution tour at
Oh,
Joe.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So those two compared to this show for me. How about you?
Yeah, I would agree, Jack. I really enjoyed this show. I think for me personally, one of my favorite Priest shows was on the Painkiller tour,
Yeah,
which I think was like the
that's
third
another one.
time that I was able to see Priest.
Right.
I remember it was at the Meadowlands.
Oh,
They
okay.
had Megadeth and Testament opening up, and they opened, which that's when it was Painkiller was new,
Mhm.
and they were trying to shake things up, and they had for the first time they had Scott Travis on drums, which I thought was great,
Yeah,
and they opened with Hellbent for Leather,
yeah,
and I'm pretty sure they did Electric Eye, but then they brought back, they hadn't done in many years. They did Riding on the Wind. They brought back Grinder. So
yep.
I thought that was really great. That was one of my favorite Priest shows.
That was actually the only tour that I saw them twice on that tour.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, so I actually saw them with Pete and a bunch of our other friends at the Nassau Coliseum for that tour.
nice.
And then like a year later, I was living up in Peekskill, so I went and saw him at the Orange County Fairgrounds with Alice Cooper on that same tour.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
was I was at that one too.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was the only time I've ever seen a show at Orange County. So,
Oh, okay, yeah. So quite a few
right,
shows at the Orange County Fair. Uh,
right.
but yeah, another one that I really liked was in 2008 when they were on tour. I guess it was for Nostradamus. I guess I don't even
Yeah,
remember.
yeah.
But they didn't do much off of Nostradamus. But
No, one
man,
song.
I
But
remember them.
prophecy.
Yeah, but I remember on that tour, like they brought out "Eat Me
Right.
Alive"
Yeah,
and "Devil's Child" and "Between the Hammer of the Anvil."
right,
So they pulled out some, great,
right.
lesser played stuff. And then in 2009 was the
What's
tour where they did the Brit all of British Steel.
right?
And
Yes.
I don't know why at this point that they haven't done more with that. I mean, to me, they could certainly play all, now that they've been playing Screaming for Vengeance. I don't see why they haven't done where they play all of the album Screaming for Vengeance. I think that would be a huge
Yeah.
seller.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, back with British Steel, what I think happened, I think Nostradamus tanked. I think they had
Yeah.
planned on playing more of it, and it tanked. So then they made a quick decision. Okay, let's just do a tribute to British Steel. And
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, I saw them 5 or 6 times on the Nostradamus tour, and I
right,
hate that record.
yeah,
But,
I
the
know.
reason I went was because the show was so good, and they
Uh-huh.
kept playing such, they were playing great, and they kept pulling out such, great old songs. And
Hmm.
yeah, I interviewed, KK Downing and Glenn Tipton and Rob Halford for that record, and
Oh
they
wow.
absolutely planned on playing the whole record from start to finish. But I
Wow.
think you're right, Jack. I think it just so few people took to it,
Yeah.
that they just scrapped that idea.
They had to have. Yeah.
Had to, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I cannot stand that. I love Judas Priest, but I hate that record.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I know we had a show where we were comparing that to what was the Kiss record,
Oh,
Music
the
from
Elder,
the
yeah,
Elder. Yeah. Yeah. And I know at least one guy felt as you did where he tanked both albums.
yeah. I mean, they're both bad, but
Yeah.
I would take, if I had to take one over the other, I would take the Elder
Yeah.
because
Well, because it's shorter.
it's a shorter album,
Yeah.
and there's a couple songs that are okay.
Yeah.
Like I and the Oath, they're not terrible.
And I liked Ace's number, Dark
Oh,
Light.
right, yeah, that's not
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
Even the the ballad one, World Without Heroes, is not all
Yeah.
that bad.
Right.
So I would certainly take Elder over over
I know the
Nostradamus.
second disc of Nostradamus really drags, so
Oh God,
yeah.
yeah, it's just awful. I mean, I'll never forget when for some of the bands, when you need to interview them, you need to interview them before the record actually gets released.
Oh, okay.
And for many years now, there's such concern about piracy that they won't give you any of the files over the internet like they used to.
Right.
So, like, I know when Nostradamus came out, they said, okay, if you want to do the interview, you have to come to CBS Records or whatever label it was in New York City. You have to make a trip down to New York City. They'll play you the entire album, and then
Oh
you
God.
then you go home, and then we'll schedule the Priest interview for you.
Oh
So I was
God.
like, okay, fine, but I'll never forget. I was so excited, and I sit down and I hear disc one, and I'm like, oh my God, like I couldn't believe how bad it was. And then the publicist comes in, he's like, "What'd you think? It was great, right?" Of course, I lied. I'm like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah." He's like,
You have to. Yeah.
"Get ready for disc two," and I'm like, "Oh my God, this is just torture." And to this day, that's the only time I ever listened to the entire album in one sitting,
Right.
because I just think
Well, for
it's
me,
just
disc
awful.
two was the
Yeah,
one that was really bad. Yeah.
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 I just it's a head scratcher. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck were you guys thinking? Like, it's totally, to me, it's a really bad rock opera, and
Yeah.
I don't want that from Judas Priest.
No, no, they're good for one thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and from reading the KK Downing book, it really sounds like KK spearheaded the writing for Nostradamus.
Right.
And it is interesting that he left after that because supposedly he was asked to do an EP of
Yeah.
some other new original material. And it's just that's a whole nother story with KK leaving. But
Right.
yeah, it's a terrible, terrible record.
Yeah. Quite agreed. I mean, for me, so I did a ranking of the Priest albums, and it was near the bottom for me. But my worst record had to be Point of Entry.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh gosh. Oh,
yeah,
I'll take Point of Entry over Nostradamus any day. With
yeah,
heading out to the highway, desert plains, solar angels, I will take all of those
yeah. But
over.
there's a couple that I can't get
Yeah,
into.
there's a couple like You
Don't
Say
Go.
Yes and Don't Go.
Yeah,
Hot Rockin' is not great, but
yeah,
Yeah, I'll definitely take any of those
all the
over
way.
Nostradamus.
I
I
mean,
thought you were going to say Demolition because Demolition is
well,
also
that's near the bottom for me as well. Yeah,
that's also a
yeah,
terrible, terrible
yeah,
record.
yes.
I liked Jugulator, but
Oh, I love Jugulator.
I
Yeah,
thought Demolition was a huge misstep for them.
yeah, it was, and they made us wait 4 years for it.
Yeah, just crazy.
But
But yeah, the new tour they're doing great. Supposedly they got a lot of work done on this new Priest record. And so I'm assuming I would not be surprised if we see it sometime in 2023.
I
I
hope
know
so.
they have, and then there's a lot of European fans that are upset because they've been waiting 4 years for Priest to tour the UK with Ozzy Osbourne.
Hmm.
And apparently there's some kind of contract that Priest is not allowed to tour the UK with, if I'm not mistaken, with unless it's with Ozzy. So
Really?
so the Ozzy tour keeps getting pushed back. First it was Ozzy's health, then it was
Uh-huh.
COVID, then it was Ozzy's health again.
Right.
So Priest is just they're just all these Priest fans are in limbo.
Wow, that sucks.
Yeah, big
What
time.
what about other areas of is that just the UK or is that Germany and
I thought it was just the UK,
uh-huh.
and I do believe that the Priest was able to do a festival not that long ago in the UK,
Mm.
but it seems like there's some kind of contractual thing, which is interesting. But yeah, it really stinks for fans over there patiently waiting. And listen, let's be honest, all these fans paid all this money, they're not getting a refund. Somebody's holding on to their money, meaning Sharon Osbourne put all that money in the bank and is making interest off of it. It's not
That's
like it's sitting somewhere. I mean,
awful.
and
Mm.
Ozzy Osbourne, God bless him, he has had major health issues. Now we know it's Parkinson's. I
Oh
mean,
boy.
is he going to be able to tour in 2023?
I
I mean,
don't
look at
know.
Glenn Tipton. He unfortunately, it seems, and Parkinson's is a degenerative disease.
I had a grandmother who had it, so I
Right.
am well versed with Parkinson's.
There you go.
It's
So
not good.
no, not good. I mean, Glenn Tipton was able to do a handful of songs a handful of times, and that's it. So
Right. Yeah.
yeah, hopefully Ozzy can do something, but yeah,
I would say my guess would be no.
yeah.
Yeah.
But now the big Priest news, which I guess is happening, is that in November? Is it November or December?
Oh, the Rock and Roll
Rock
Hall
and
of
Roll Hall of
Fame.
Fame,
Yeah.
and with KK Downing and Les Binks. Well,
Yes.
that's
But
awesome
they're actually gonna all perform together. And
which I think is great.
yeah, no, it's a good thing.
Even if KK doesn't join full time or whatever, just
Right.
to see them up on stage again and
Right.
mend those fences, I think it's great.
Yeah, or a 3-song medley, I think they said that
Yeah,
they were gonna do.
I think Rob Halford gave the exact time. It was something like, yeah, we have like 8 minutes and 58 seconds to perform, something like that.
All
Um,
right.
but yeah, I think it's great. I think
Yeah,
it's,
we'll take it.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But of course, I'll take that hour and a half in Albany any day.
Oh, yeah, that was fantastic. I mean, if they were to do a third leg on this tour, I would certainly go. But at this point, I think
Mhm.
I'm surprised they actually did two legs on the anniversary tour. I figured it would have been one, and then
Mhm.
do the rest of the world, and then back into the studio. But I guess it's doing well enough that they were able to get another run out of it in the
Yeah,
States
yeah.
anyway. But yeah, it certainly seems like they are not slowing down, and
Nope.
that they're but now they're in a tough position because Firepower was so good.
Well, so it almost sounds like it's going to be more of like a prog metal type album, almost like a senjutsu type thing.
Oh
What
boy, all right, I get nervous when I
I
hear
well,
that.
I would imagine not exactly like that,
Right.
but there's going to be some longer songs and a little bit of expansion. And I like that idea because
Okay.
I like bands like Dream Theater and Symphony X, so
Right.
I'm looking forward to it.
Well, hopefully it's
Hopefully,
not.
it'll be better than what they gave us from with Nostradamus. But
I was going to say, as long as it's not like Loch Ness or
yes, I
what
didn't
we
like
heard on
Block Ness either.
Nostradamus. Yeah,
I love Cathedral Spires, so give
100%. That's a great
yeah,
track.
yep.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite track off Jugulator. So
Me too. Yeah.
yeah,
But
so yeah, we'll see. But yeah, they're God bless them. They keep going.
yep. And it was a really cool night. I mean, too bad we couldn't find a bar to hang out. There was that bar
Yes.
connected to uh I'm ready to sick John Taffer on them because
Yeah, the
couldn't get a drink out of them. So
no, the unfortunately, while MVP Arena is great for shows,
yeah,
the area itself is not good for getting a beer or even too many
yeah,
places to get something to eat.
yeah. Oh yeah, the pizza that I had right on the corner was terrible.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Awful. Mm,
Yeah, we were looking for something to eat and there was nothing, so we had to eat in the arena, which
yeah,
thankfully wasn't as expensive as some other arenas, but
yeah. And I found that 25 ounce, what was it, a 25-ounce Stella, well, actually wasn't that bad.
yeah,
I think it was 16, $17
right.
and
Yeah,
25 ounces. So it's basically two beers.
two beers, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
So you
guzzled
got
one of
that.
those and I was good for the show.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. And Queensryche was a really good opener. This was the second time.
Queensryche was good. Now,
Yeah,
what's really surprised me was they only played one song off of that new album.
right.
Yeah, which
Right. But they did
Digital
two.
Noise Alliance, it's called.
Yes.
But they gave us a couple of classics. Open with Queen of the Reich, which I thought was really cool. Warning. What else? Operation Mindcrime, Take Hold of the Flame, Eyes of a Stranger.
Yeah. I mean, it was mostly the classics, and
Right,
they did two Todd La Torre songs, which to
right.
me makes sense because on the first leg they didn't do any
Mhm.
of his material.
But I was really surprised. So they had a second song, the opener. Let me see.
In Extremis
In
and
Extremis, they had
Behind the
played it,
Walls were the two
right,
Todd La Torre songs.
but they cut In Extremis for this show.
Oh, did they from Albany?
Yeah, I wonder if they had maybe it was a time constraint because the prior show they had played it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Other than that, I
Yeah,
don't
it
see,
definitely could have been a time thing.
yeah, but
But
yeah,
yeah, it was a great show, and I'm looking forward to seeing Priest again, hopefully in 2023. I mean, that's the other thing
yeah,
too. All these bands are all getting older, so when somebody's like, "Oh yeah, I decided to skip that tour," okay, yeah, but you could be the first guy to cry when this
yeah.
band is not around anymore.
No, I know I had to make it an even 10, but now I'm ready to continue.
Yeah,
So I'm definitely down for the next tour. So we
yeah,
got
yeah, for
to keep
sure. Yeah,
pushing
like I said,
that.
for me, I don't know the exact number, but it's close to 50.
Wow, that's
I've seen Priest,
incredible.
quite a few times in Europe too. When I used to do European tours in the summer and go to the big festivals, and Priest was always, a big headliner over in Europe.
Right. Well, that's cool. Awesome.
But
Well,
yeah,
all I can say is I wish I had the life of Chris Allo.
me
Good to
too.
talk to you.
That guy gets around.
But in any event, everybody have a good night. Chris, thank you so much for
Yeah,
joining.
Jack, thanks
This
for
was
thanks for
very
having me.
cool, talking about one of my favorite subjects in the whole wide world. So
Absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, hopefully we'll catch up soon at another show.
definitely. So in any event, uh, have a good night. This is Jack Toledano speaking for all or nada, according to Jack. Keep those subscriptions coming. I really appreciate it. Uh, and for Mr. Chris Allo, I will say good night. Have a good one.
Cheers.